Hello everybody. Today I'm going to talk about Valentine Mihono Bourbon, and I'm also going to talk about something that I have seen being tossed around. What happens if they pull out the second year anniversary balance changes and eval skills, and whether or not Valentine Mihono Bourbon is going to be good after that. Let's start by talking about her kit. First off, she has 10% speed, 10% stamina, 10% power growth, which is extremely good stat growth rates. This growth rates is arguably one of the best growth rates in the entire game, depending on the situation that you are currently in. Do you want more stamina? You got more stamina growth rates over here. If you have extra speed growth rates overall and collect more speed, of course you will get extra power. So overall very good growth rates. Her attributes. It is going to be extremely powerful, especially in make a new track scenario. The fact that she has two B's, 1A and 1C, is very strong. Because in make a new track, you want to race mild, medium, or long for the most part. And the fact that she comes in with very good attributes for these means that she will be able to get very good amounts of races without needing to invest on specific sparks. Of course, that is extremely powerful. Her unique skill, Operation Cocoa, activates if you are 4th or higher during a mid-game corner, and there is a difference between you and up to 3 horse lengths behind an Uma. So if there is an Uma behind you by 3 horse lengths, you will be able to activate this unique. This unique gives you 0.35 target speed increase and some stamina recovery for 5 seconds, which is extremely powerful. This unique is so powerful, in fact, that the inheritance is actually going to be extremely good too, because it also is effectively a mid-game skill to use for maybe Telhealth High, or you just want to use it for the extra speed. Overall, this is going to be extremely powerful unique, and the parenting value on Valentine Mihono Bourbon is going to be extremely powerful, since this unique has guaranteed activation almost every single time if you are playing front or pace chaser. Sometimes late and end closers can use it too, but it just depends on the late or end strategy that you are using. Her potential skills. Potential level 2 gives her frontrunner savvy, which means 1 out of the 3 for groundwork, which she has initially, which is of course very powerful. She has escape artist, which is a very strong mid-game frontrunner skill, and this is going to matter a lot more once I talk about frontrunner skills with the release of eval skills. The next is going to be concentration. Very powerful, because that initially just removes late start for the most part. Alongside groundwork, that means that this is 2 out of your 3 activation for groundwork. She has extra events that I want to talk about. If you get 60,000 fans before the start of the Valentine mission or the Valentine event, you get early lead for free, which means that she can just self-proc groundwork extremely easily, provided that she hits the wit checks. But overall, she is going to have just innate groundwork activation. Arguably, you want to have an extra green or something, but overall, this is extremely good. She can get charming randomly, which is of course nice, because that means that the cards are going to be at higher bonds or potentially at orange very earlier than usual. And sometimes, if you have noticed, some careers just end up where your support cards are just together but they aren't orange yet, which makes them extremely annoying to basically get a lot of stats off. This is extremely good. And of course, her Triple Crown event. If you win the Triple Crown, you get extra guts and straightaway acceleration, which helps in sprint CMs. However, the very good thing about this, because of her unique being almost a guaranteed activation unique, and of course it does give you some recovery, that means is that you will more likely win with this, and of course get the guts. If you run original Mihono Bourbon, you do know how hard it is to win the Triple Crown. But overall, this is an extremely good event for Mihono Bourbon. Evo skills. And this is going to be a separate video that I want to talk about, because Evo skills are actually like somewhat more normal than what people think. It, yes, buffs the entire roster, but of course there's going to be some Umas that will get more buffs than others. I'll be making a separate video for that, but overall, for 80 to 85% of the cast, they just get simple upgrades. Mihono Bourbon does unironically get one of the better ones. Escape Artist, if you have 800 speed or 800 power, and provided you buy 2 recovery skills, even if they do not proc for the race, Escape Artist now will give you stamina recovery, which is extremely powerful. Keep in mind that this is a frontrunner skill, so it will proc everywhere. And then her concentration now will give you plus 10 all stats up. It is something, but it's not the best. However, for most of the cast, they usually have one of their 2 gold skills be like track specific, or it is a different strategy. For example, an Uma like Dawa Scarlet, she has Race Planner on one of her 2 gold skills, and if you run her as a front runner, you're not going to be using that gold skill at all, which means that Dawa Scarlet essentially has only 1 Evo skill, while Valentine Mihono Bourbon has at least 1 decent one and 1 very good one. So that is a very good advantage for Valentine Mihono Bourbon. However, Silence Suzuka gets something called Perfect Concentration, which increases her acceleration by an additional 0.2. Combined with Groundwork and taking the lead, Silence Suzuka will get a 0.8 overall acceleration, and of course Runaway Suzuka exists. However, we are probably going to be in the period of make a new track, so Runaway is not going to be a viable strategy, because make a new track completely disables the Uma's secret events, and Runaway counts as a secret event. Now, let me talk about the strategy of how Valentine Mihono Bourbon works with Runaway. Runaway, of course, is not going to be good in long CMs, but you can still use Runaway for pace up, which is extremely powerful. Mind you, of course, Valentine Mihono Bourbon, since this is going to be a mid-game corner skill, it will proc at earliest in this part. This is Champions Meeting 11 map, by the way. The first Champions Meeting that we get and make a new track. So you proc your unique here, and since we are still on position keep, Bourbon will launch forward, which makes Suzuka still, like, the gap between her and Bourbon is lesser than intended for Runaway, which forces Suzuka to push further, which means that you are distancing yourself from the other frontrunners, while in the same time creating even more gap between you and the pacers, because Runaway Suzuka is going to be so far ahead, and so your Bourbon will start initiating the pace up mode. Since she is not the first place position, she will try to run faster. You get what I mean? But since she has the unique, that will help her, of course, push for that. And then once you reach a specific point, Suzuka will start falling off. But then your Bourbon will pass her, and potentially if you bought ramp up alongside, let's say, Tailhead High, you proc both of them off of Suzuka and like make full advantage of that gap. You enter the final straight, and then since we have Kita-san Black going to release in Make a New Track, you can use it as an inheritance to increase your acceleration. So your Bourbon is going to pass with such a big lead that you will essentially win the entire race. this is a very basic TLDR of how Valentine Mihono Bourbon works with Runaway if they are used it as a sacrificial like pace setter. If you want to try a strategy similar to Valentine Mihono Bourbon and want to know what I'm talking about, you can consider using Smart Falcon. Smart Falcon essentially has pretty much the exact same condition, where it is a mid-game ult that will proc and it is going to be early enough in the position keep area. So, as an example over here, the green bar is when the earliest point Valentine Mihono Bourbon can proc your unique, and the red one is when Smart Falcon can proc your unique. If you have Smart Falcon and you are pulling for Valentine Mihono Bourbon, you can consider just finding a random Smart Falcon that is good for a medium track from somebody else, and if you have Suzuka that has like very little stats, just that she dies in the mid game, you could try it out. What you will see is that once Smart Falcon procs her unique, she will push forward, but she will also pressure Suzuka to push forward again, which makes her, make very big gap between her and the other front runners, and also very big gap between her, pacers, late surgers, and end closers. And this is how you win off of gap distance overall. This is an example of me using Mihono Bourbon in the global server, but keep in mind that original Mihono Bourbon is the final straight unique, while Valentine Mihono Bourbon is a mid-game corner skill, which means that I can actually make a lot more gap with this because this is the final straight unique. Okay, cool, but then New Year Opera O is going to exist, which means that that's essentially still a last straight unique for a champions meeting that is going to be Armakina 2500 meters. So that means that the late race is already covered and mid game is already covered with escape artist and also my unique skill. I will make such a big gap that it probably, instead of saying 10 length, it will just say distance for the most part if I build a proper front. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Valentine Mihono Bourbon is extremely strong. Even after the second year anniversary balance change, she's going to be extremely good because you are going to force a lot of distance using Runaway if you plan on running front runner, and overall this is going to be extremely powerful. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Valentine Mihono Bourbon is good, very good parent, very good ace. You should pull. I would recommend you pulling if you are going to even run a front runner in the first place. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope to see you in the next time, and consider joining the Discord server, link it in the comment section, and of course, take care.